This holiday season, get ready to unwrap the most magnificent holiday homes with Homeworthy's 25 Days of Christmas. For the month of December, we'll take you inside the most heartwarming houses, decked out for the holidays in true festive fashion. From twinkling lights and elegantly trimmed trees to sparkling ornaments and cozy holiday charm, these homes capture the warmth, wonder, and beauty that make this season so special. So join us as Homeworthy celebrates 25 days of Christmas. The magic starts now.
Raise your glass. Cheers! Merry Christmas! Happy holidays!
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hey, Homeworthy, welcome. I'm the Ornament King, and you can call me Christopher Radko as well. I've got a lot of sparkle to share with you. Come on in. Hey, Homeworthy viewers, I'm the Ornament King, and I'm also the artist Christopher Radko. I'm so excited to be sharing my holiday home with you, and we're going to get ready and take you on a sparkly tour. You know, it's certainly not a career I would have imagined getting into, but I'm a Christmas ornament designer, and I've been doing this for almost 40 years. People always wonder, well, how do you get started doing something like that? And it really started with a holiday tragedy. Our 12-foot Christmas tree crashed and all of my grandmother's beloved ornaments shattered. And I had a little hand in that because I had put the tree in a brand new Christmas tree stand and one of the legs buckled. And when all the ornaments laid shattered on the floor, my grandmother came into the living room and she kind of shook her head and she said, "Oh, Christopher, you've ruined Christmas forever now." So it was that guilt, that pang in my heart that got me to realize I have to make up for this. I can't live with this guilt. So I went looking for glass ornaments, but back in the 1980s, everything was plastic or styrofoam. So I set sail to Europe looking for glass blowers, and I found some in Germany and Italy and Poland, and I commissioned them to make me some replacement ornaments. And when I brought them home to the States, all my friends said, "Hey, where did you get these beautiful glass ornaments? Can you get some for us?" So as a little hobby, on my lunch hour, I started selling Christmas ornaments, and it just took off. People loved the ornaments I designed, and before I knew it, in a couple years, designing glass Christmas ornaments became my full-time job. A lot of people remember me from my former company, which I started back in 1986. But I sold that company in 2005, and I'm no longer connected with that company. Instead, I had a very long non-compete, which expired, so now I'm back, and my new brand is the Ornament King. And it's, I think, appropriate. You know, the Washington Post last year did a great profile of me, and they said the Ornament King is back, so I'm sticking with their moniker. I love what I do. I'm so glad to be able to continue doing what I love. This is my second act in my life, and maybe a comeback, if you will. And so I'm working as hard as ever, but I love my work. And I really feel if you do something you love, you're not really working, you're following your mission. And my mission definitely is to create memories, to let my ornaments be memory makers as they connect families and generations and bring beauty to people's homes. For many years, I've been blessed to live in Garrison, New York. Garrison is like Brigadoon, if you remember the musical with Gene Kelly from the 1950s. And once you stumble on this little village, you really never want to leave. And you only kind of discover it once every 100 years. So the moment you show up, you got to kind of make up your mind. Well, I did. It's famous because the movie Hello, Dolly with Barbra Streisand was filmed in Garrison down by the river. It's a very small town. There's less than 2,000 people living here. Over 60% of all the land here is either state park or federally protected, so you can't build on it. So it's very, very quiet. There are no shopping malls, no highways or anything like that here. So it's like a secret little hideaway. I live in a home that was built literally a century ago in 1924. It's a solid stone house. It's got high ceilings, and that's important for me. As Mr. Christmas, I need to have high ceilings to decorate and feel that spaciousness. But the stone house makes it very quiet, and it just feels solid and cozy. When I get home from traveling or doing events or charity appearances, I get to feel like, this feels so good, I'm at home. Me and my dog just love it. I enjoy gardening, so I have a beautiful rose garden, and it's a joy to be here. But it's not that far from New York. I can hop on the train and be in New York City in maybe an hour and 20 minutes. So it's an easy connection if I want to go see a Broadway show or go out and paint the town red. So Garrison, a magical place. And over here, I welcome you to my dining room. This is the scene of so many special dinners and gatherings with my loved ones and friends. It's a great place for parties and anniversaries, and certainly for Christmas dinner. So the dining room is decorated for Christmas, and you can see this modern fireplace here with the garland that I set up. Now, each room has a different kind of garland. I use artificial garlands because, again, with the heat and everything, I don't want any needles to drop. But I multi-layer the garland, so I use a basic garland below as a background for uplift, and then I add special branches like the arborvitae branches and the sugar pine branches. I've used yellow lights, green lights, and twinkling white lights to bring a little bit of life to this garland. And lots of golden branches, some golden white nutcrackers, and these very playful holiday elves. They're kind of our hosts of the evening for Christmas. There's the table itself, which, as you can see, is set up for 8. And it's got our heirloom candlesticks from the late 1890s, crystal from France, also vintage, and gold chargers is a good background, matches the colors of the room. A lot of people are very interested in the walls of this room. The walls are all faux finish. They're beautifully and exquisitely painted, and the effect is green onyx. A lot of people think it's green malachite, which would be a very fair guess, but it's actually a close-up of green onyx that has these special circles in it and the wavy pattern that you don't normally see in malachite. The lights are all Italian, and even the chandelier is vintage Italian. So lots to enjoy in here and good times to be shared. So happy to share it with you. One of the things I love about this house is that the dining room is a separate room. I like having a room that fulfills its assignment. Some homes are more contemporary, where the living room flows into the kitchen, flows into the dining room. But I like being able to move from one space to the next and have the experience of that space enclosed within the 4 walls. So this is the dining room. It overlooks the rose garden in the backyard, and it's a fun place to be. Usually guests come and greet me in the living room, and we have cocktails and hors d'oeuvres there, and then we walk over to the dining room for the formal experience of a very special meal. So follow me into the hallway. The hallway serves to separate the various rooms on the main floor. It's got a lot of watercolors, favorite paintings that I've collected over the years. To this side is the study. Over here is the grand circular staircase hallway. It feels like a grand old home. I love the tradition here. I think it's all about the details in a home. The wonderful Italian wallpaper, the drapes over here. I love florals and I love pom-poms. So it kind of has a holiday feel, but it's also playful as well. And you'll see more of this color brought into the study and the way I decorated in there as well. The lights that you see overhead were also found in Germany at a flea market there, and I had them rewired and installed here as well. There's also a beautiful chandelier in the hallway, which I look forward to sharing with you if you follow me. Up here, I love a circular staircase, and the front door that I greeted everyone at. But this reminds me a little bit of Auntie Mame. I kind of feel when I swirl down the staircase that I'm, being uncle, the uncle version of Auntie Mame greeting my guests. I know we're a celebrity-driven culture, and I've been very fortunate that a lot of famous people have paid retail for my ornaments. I'll never forget the day I got a call from the Neiman Marcus buyer, and she said, "You'll never guess who was just in here, Elton John. He bought a whole tree. We're shipping the entire tree to his house." And then another time I was at Saks Fifth Avenue and I was doing a signing event, and who should show up but Barbra Streisand's assistant asking me, "Hey, my boss would like to know, why aren't you doing Hanukkah ornaments?" So I started doing Hanukkah ornaments as well, and I continue doing so under my new brand, the Ornament King. One time I was in Hawaii. I had just landed in Honolulu, and I was checking my cell phone, and this message said, "Hey, it's Bobby, give me a call." I didn't know who Bobby was, so I press redial. I say, "Hi, this is Christopher Radko calling. You called me. I don't really know who you are." And he said, "Oh yeah, Bobby De Niro." It's like, what? Like, "Oh, come on, you're pulling my leg." And, I kind of said, "Make my day," or whatever, whatever the right word was to say. But he said, "No, I met you at Whoopi Goldberg's house," and that was true, because I decorated her house for Christmas. And he said, "Can you please, I know it's last minute, but please come decorate my house up in the Catskills and my apartment down in the city." And I said, "Absolutely." So that was really fun too. But I've worked with a lot of celebrities. Katharine Hepburn was a big collector, Jimmy Stewart, of the earlier generation, Gregory Peck as well, and Bruce Springsteen bought a whole Christmas tree of my ornaments. And then the younger generations, the models like Gisele Bündchen and Heidi Klum. I guess anyone who loves Christmas, sooner or later they're going to knock on my door and say, "Christopher, we need a little bit of your sparkle in our home this Christmas." So this is the study. It's a very bright, sun-drenched room, and it has a great view of the rose garden beyond. I love hanging out in here and just catching up on daily work and emails. It's a combination of something old and something new. So like, for instance, over here is this antique pump organ. You actually use the foot pedals on the floor and you fill it up with air, and that produces the sound once you hit the keys. I'm finding a restorer to come in and get it going again, because it's quite old. It's from the 1880s, and it even has the original clock, which I'm looking forward to having restored as well. Isn't that great? And the wonderful maple wood around. Do I play? No, I don't. So I have to take lessons. It's sort of like, if you build it, they will come. In my retirement, I look forward to being able to actually play the organ or play the piano in the living room. But until then, I want to make sure it's tuned and ready to go. It's my great-great-grandfather up here. He's keeping an eye on me, making sure I design enough ornaments for each Christmas season. I love collecting antiques and prints. So you'll see on the wall framed prints of insects and fruit and birds. I love birds. I have a lot of bird feeders outside. And so I was lucky to find them in Paris, in the Marché aux Puces, which is the flea market in northern Paris, and I bought them all and had them framed. I think they go well in this room with the outdoors. I'm bringing a little bit of the outdoors in to the experience here. And that goes for the mantle that I decorated as well. I picked the colors of this room, so we have pinks and pale greens and celadons and whites in the garland, some roses, because the rose garden is just a few yards away, and a champagne-colored ribbon to weave through. But you can see again the fuchsia pink and lime green lights, all the beautiful hand-painted ornaments that I created this year, and even the birds. I have birds with spun glass tails clipped onto the wreath. And there's a little bit of motion here as well on the wreath with some of the twinkling lights. I never like to have just solid color. I like to have a little bit of motion with the lights flickering on and off. It's gentle. It's not going to give you, a stroke looking at it, but but it has that kind of like pulsation, especially in the evening when the outdoor lights go down, and you can just enjoy the warmth and the golden glow of the garland on the fireplace. It's really not that hard to decorate a wreath or a garland. I know it looks, very lush and beautiful, but basically I go to craft stores, I buy the wreaths ready-made, the base of them, and then I take a pine garland and I wrap it around the wreath to give it more texture and depth, and even to make it a little bit larger. I add a lot of pluses like the berries, some of the silk leaves, the flowers. The ribbons are always wire edged so they can hold the shape that you place them in. You can see there's a little wire trim over there that will enable you to shape the ribbon, and it will stay that way. I add pine cones and, of course, the lights itself. Now, I have a little trick I did here. Since I wanted the wreath lighted, but I didn't want to have an extension cord, what I did is I extended the ribbon here, but the lights are kind of hiding right behind there. So that's a little cheat, but don't tell anyone. But it looks very natural. This way, you can have both parts lighted. Also, on the main garland, on this fireplace, I start with a base regular garland, and then I add the additional juniper garland on top. So it's two garlands layered on top of each other. And then it's just a matter of adding floral picks, pine cones, and wiring on the ornaments and the roses. I add two kinds of lights. I have the mini lights, as you see here, and then I have the C7 lights. The C7 lights are generally LED now, so they have a nice glow, but they last a very long time, the LED lights. And you can see some flickering and some pulsation from the blinking lights as well. But it coordinates with the room. The pinks and the creams and the salmon colors coordinate with the colors of this room. So it's all of a piece. This is exactly that. It's like a miniature greenhouse. And this is a Victorian piece that I bought in Italy. I loved it because of the curved glass. And this is what the Victorians did. They had plants and flowers inside. And even in the wintertime, you would have plants growing inside there, and you'd have a little bit of that outdoors brought inside to your house. So this is a fun piece I picked up in Italy. It's my daydream room. So I just love to, plop in one of the chairs, and sometimes in the summer I'll open the windows and listen to the bird song. It's got a view of the fountain in the backyard. And so it's very much a room of serenity. After a tough day of work, I love to come here and just unwind. A lot of people ask me if there are special trends or themes for Christmas. And me being such a traditionalist, I tend to go back to what I remembered as a child. So I do like the larger size light bulbs on a tree. You'll see that in a moment. I like colored lights, but they don't all have to be primary colors. They can be fuchsia and lime green, depending on what color your room palette is. I've noticed that there's a lot of pink in Christmas now, so it's almost as though pink is the new red. And also some earth tone colors still mean something, like the chocolate browns or the bronzes, but then to throw in a dash of bright color as well, like a lime green, to make it wake up. But again, I'm a traditionalist, so for me, more is more. I love the morning sunlight in this room, so a lot of times after breakfast, I'll come in here to do my morning emails. It's a very serene room, and I have 3 windows that overlook the garden here and the fountain off in the distance. It's so sweet for me to greet the day in this room. As you can see, some of the light is still in here from the morning. And yeah, there's the rose garden, and in the early spring I can open the windows and breathe in all the scents, so it's a very magical place. I think there is something really special about glass ornaments. I think perhaps because we remember them from our childhood, and maybe we received the ornaments from our parents or grandparents. There's also almost a metaphysical process into making an ornament. It's mixing all the waters, the elements, water, air, fire, and mineral. It takes a whole week to make just one ornament. It's mouth blown in the hot flame. It's silvered on the inside with shiny sterling silver, and then all the layers of paints and lacquers and glitters that are applied on the surface of the ornament. You can feel the artisan's heart and their touch in every single ornament. And as I like to remind people, it takes a human breath to breathe life into every single ornament. I think that's kind of visceral. You feel the magic in each one. These ornaments, these glass ornaments, are so magical. And I think there are a lot of reasons why. For instance, they're actually made in the same workshops that the ornaments were made in back over a century ago in countries like Poland and Germany and Italy and the Czech Republic, which are the birthplaces of glass ornament making. And the whole process of making them is pretty cool as well. You know, it takes a human breath to breathe life into every single ornament. And the ornament starts with a glass bubble, a clear glass bubble like a light bulb, and it's blown in the hot flame and kind of inserted into a mold, such as a Santa Claus or an angel mold or a snowman. And then on the next day, they pour liquid sterling silver on the inside of every single ornament to make it shiny and reflective. And then on subsequent days, there's layers of paints and lacquers and glitter, all the way down to the eyelashes and the blush. I think people feel the authenticity of these ornaments, and that's why they've become heirlooms. And people hand them down to their children and grandchildren. In a sense, my glass ornaments become memory makers as they connect the great-grandparents to the grandparents to the parents and children and grandchildren and so on and so forth. I kind of know that even 100 years from now, long after I'm gone, people will be decorating, I guess, Christmas trees on Mars, and they'll have my ornaments on those trees as well. And so now the next room we'll want to go into is the living room. Come on over. So now we come into the heartbeat of the house, which is the living room. My favorite room of the house for sure. Here I have a table that's faux finished again to look like malachite in this case, green malachite. And I have a garland here sprinkled with silver and red and gold check bead stars, a little bit of sparkle and some happy ribbon, again coordinating to the room. But the best is yet to come. Down this way. It's the Christmas tree, of course. I am so lucky each year to have a Christmas tree that I can decorate and call my very own. This is a 9.5-foot tree. Even me at 6'2", the tree is taller than me, which is the way it should be, because then I feel like I'm still a little kid looking up in wonder and awe, like, wow, that Christmas tree is so tall and beautiful. A lot of friends say, now, Chris, should I get an artificial tree or should I get a fresh tree? You could really go either way, but there are differences. The problem with the limitation of a fresh tree is that it'll only last a few weeks before it starts to dry out. Also, if you have a lot of ornaments, a fresh tree might not be able to hold the weight of the ornaments, and the branches, the limbs will start to sag, and you don't want the ornaments falling off the tree midway through the holiday season. So instead, I get a man-made tree. The brand is actually Park Hill. I consider them one of the best trees in the market. And I love the tree because structurally, it is very sturdy. The armature, the metal wiring of the branches is very strong, so it'll bear the weight of extra lights and lots of ornaments. Also, the Park Hill tree offers you the opportunity to decorate deep inside the tree, meaning that there's lots of room from branch to branch. It's more like an unsheared, natural tree. See how much room is between the branches. You can really hang a lot of ornaments and they'll have breathing space on the tree. A lot of people also ask, well, do you do colored lights or white lights? I do both. So in this case, the tree comes lighted with a soft white LED light, but then I augment that lighting by adding C7 bulbs. These are the LED C7s, just like the ones we grew up with, but I use multicolored all through the tree. And also, if you look, you'll see there's some twinkling lights as well to create a little bit of that life and magic on the tree. Now, after I light the tree, well, first, oh, almost forgot. You have to, when you take the tree out of the box, make sure you open up the tree. Spread the branches, make sure they're all perky and lifting up to the sky. And then I use the star method of opening up the branches like a finger with the 5 fingers. And you want to make sure that all the branches are open and spread and kind of lightly pointing up in the air, because then you can have tips to hang ornaments on. Once you've opened up the tree and fluffed all the branches and added all the lights, then I add a lot of floral picks and berries. They become part of the background of the tree and they help to fill in some of the spaces on the tree. So you'll see I have velvet red poinsettias, beautiful red poinsettias, just for color inside the tree. I add ponderosa pine cones around the base of the tree and also deep inside to cover up the trunk. And then I add lots of red berries all through the tree. Now, initially it looked like your tree is all red, but in fact, once you add all the ornaments, you don't notice them as much. They just create a more interesting tree. It's not just a tree and glass ornaments, but a tree with florals. And again, depending on the decor of your house, you might choose silk orchids or chrysanthemums or other flowers that might, or peonies or whatever. You can really let your imagination go wild as you add the additional picks to the tree to bring a little bit of that floral feel to the tree before you start decorating with the ornaments itself. I don't think there is much space left on the tree to decorate. My motto is, if you can still see the tree, you're not done decorating yet. But I would say there's close to 450 ornaments on the tree. It's decorated all the way around, mostly in the front where all my favorite ornaments are. But that's a lot of time, and each one is individually hung on, and clasped onto the tree. Hanging ornaments, ornaments on top of the branches like the little mushroom or this little Santa or the bird, those go on top of the branches. Hanging ornaments as well. And so really it's very well filled. There's a lot of interest. You can look at this tree for hours and really never see the same ornaments twice, because it's like, oh, I just noticed that, I just noticed that. There's a lot of detail, and that's the way I like it, because again, after a hard day of work, I love to come home, pop myself down on the sofa and just put on some Christmas music and watch the twinkling lights and all the beautiful ornaments that I created that year on my Christmas tree at home. Well, I have a lot of very traditional shaped ornaments. That's very important for me. So I have ornaments with reflectors on them, such as this one over here, or then wandering over here, look at this one. Now the reflectors were originally created for the Christmas tree when 100 years ago, before the advent of electricity, people actually put candles on their trees. Now the trees were very fresh, they were cut down Christmas Eve, so there was very little risk involved when you were in the room when the candles were burning. But the reflectors on the ornaments would shine the light back out in the room. So I like them because they're prismatic and colorful. One of my favorite ornaments this year is Dolly Delivers. That's this Dolly Parton ornament, personally approved by Dolly herself. It's a glass ornament hand-painted by women in Poland, and that, of course, is still available from my company, but 20% of all the sales, of all the proceeds, go to the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. She's so amazing. Not only does she sing, but she also donates 3 million books every single month to kids who need to learn how to read all over the country. And so in support of her foundation, I've created this ornament of her for this holiday. So I hope everyone will consider getting a Dolly Delivers ornament, by the Ornament King, that's me. And she thanks to you as well. Dolly Parton thanks to you as well, because it's for a very good cause. Another one of my favorites is the Tin Man over here. This Tin Man is made in Italy. It's an Italian ornament, and he's got his heart. So he's ready for Christmas, the Tin Man. He's a great one. I also like spaceship and Santa in space designs. So here is Santa in a space rocket. There he is. And then, of course, if you pan the camera up here, hiding behind the stars, a Martian. See, there's a little Martian ornament that's also made in Italy. And that's one of the reasons I have a lot of stars and comet shapes on the tree as well, because I like that celestial feel on my tree. Some people feel that It was Martin Luther who first introduced the idea of candles on the tree to inspire us to think of the celestial happenings of Christmas and the stars in the sky. So we continue that tradition today with Christmas lights on our tree. But I like spaceship themes. Here's a little UFO guy flying on a spaceship. He's really, really sweet. Also, I guess I'll point out that a lot of the ornaments have intricate detail on them. Here's one that I hope you'll be able to see up close. It's really incredibly detailed. He's a Santa, and look at that folk art costume he's wearing. And when you turn him around, he's as pretty in the back as in the front, and there's a peacock painted on the back with all the flowers. So that's exquisite amount of work, not just on the front of the ornament, but on the back where hardly anyone looks. So I love the painted detail. I love celestial themes. I like whimsy, you know, like the Tin Man from Wizard of Oz or Santa in a spaceship. There's a lot in here for the kid in me, because the kid in me is definitely alive at Christmas. I'm lucky in my community to have a lot of friends, and they bring over their kids to enjoy the tree. Sometimes we have a contest where I will hide, let's say, a vintage radio on the tree. And then the first kid that finds the vintage glass ornament radio wins an extra gift on the holidays. I'll show you what that vintage radio looks like. Let's see if I can find it. It's so well hidden. Ah, it's right here. See? So it's the only one on the whole tree. It's like an old, 1930s Walton's family radio. I have a typewriter on the tree because I love writing. So I have a hidden typewriter as well. Do you want to see that? I'll let you know over here. It's right over here. If you come around, you'll see the royal typewriter. So I love that game of hiding ornaments on the tree and then challenging friends and especially their kids to come and, try and find that missing or hidden ornament on the tree. A lot of people ask me, hey, Chris, where do you get your ideas from? You're so prolific with all these designs. And, it always starts with a good bottle of champagne, to tell you the truth. But in all seriousness, I get a lot of ideas from the ornaments I remember when I was a kid. So the ornaments that inspired me as a child very much, suggest the ornaments that I would like to make today. Here we are at the living room mantle, and I chose to make it coordinate to the Christmas tree. So we use the red ribbons and the red velvet poinsettias. But again, even something as beautiful as this is really quite easy to try at home. What I do is I go to craft stores. There are a lot of them, like Michael's or At Home or Hobby Lobby. And a lot of those stores have garlands available as early as July. And so you might be in your flip-flops, but you can already start pulling together some of the garlands. Again, I always do a 1-2 thing. I put a base of just solid green garland, and then I add another layer of the more finer, the more refined garland. Through this garland, I've woven a string of gold balls. It's like a long garland branch, and I weave that around the garland to bring out some of the color, but again, to hide the branches. I've used mini lights. I loved mini lights as a kid. I remember those back in the 1970s, so they're back in town on my tree. I actually still use incandescent lights. I think the glow is very special with an incandescent light bulb. There's a warmth that LED light doesn't always have. You'll see here I added a couple of golden reindeers, and I added the finials as well. The finials usually go on top of a tree, but you can use them as part of your garland display as well. Or if you'd like, you can use them architecturally by putting them over candles in a candlestick holder, and then you can have a bunch of them on a table if you want for the finials. So this is a very traditional design over here with the holly and the ruby red velvet ribbon. The fireplace itself is French. It's the only so-called new fireplace in the house. It's actually an antique French fireplace, a Norman fireplace from the 1700s. The previous fireplace had a lot of damage on it, so I opted to bring in this very special fireplace from France. The mirror is from Italy. They do a lot of great carving there. So are the wall sconces. Those are from Italy as well. And they feature a swan head and then the candlestick holders as well. And as you can see, Also, the walls themselves are painted a very warm peach color. And you think, wow, that's pretty daring. But you know, peach is a great color. It's very relaxing, and it's not jarring. But also, we all look good with peach color, you know? It just kind of creates a warm glow, and I think it carries forth to the way we feel in this room, that kind of warmth and relaxation that the peach color offers us. So you'll see that in my carpet, you'll see that in the sofas, and in the drapes as well. And yeah, I just can't say enough about this room. I can't wait to start inviting friends here for Christmas. My idea of decorating is that it's okay to mix old and new, but the way I combine them is by color. So I may have an antique chair next to a contemporary sofa, but if the colors speak to each other, then it is just perfect. So for instance, you know, our little side chair here by the window is an old French chair from the 1880s. It's covered in bright contemporary fabric, but with the floral feel, because I like flowers so much. But then we have these modern sofas and side chairs as well. They are Italian as well, but they're brand new. But they have an old world feel because of the cords that cover and hold together the sides. You can, if you wish, undo the cords and then make it into like a reclining bed as well. I don't do that, but it has that look of earlier centuries. The carpet is from Pakistan, and it's hand woven. It dates back to the 1920s. And again, for me, it's primarily the colors that you see that all come together. Even this Hopi Indian feather headdress. Again, for me, it's primarily, well, I like the historicism of it, but I love how the colors blend with the rest of the room. So it's okay to have old and new, you know, reflecting your different chapters of your life and also your various points of travel. But as long as the colors weave it all together, it somehow, you know, becomes a wonderful effect. The beams are walnut and they've been restored. I think the last family that lived here were heavy smokers, and so we had to have them, you know, cleaned and scrubbed. But yes, they are original, and it's, you know, it was hard to create such a large room without beams. So I'm glad they're here. I love creating an intimate feeling for even a large number of guests. Sometimes I'll invite a friend to play the piano, maybe a concert pianist who lives locally, and she'll come and play a lot of holiday tunes. We'll be, you know, serving champagne and hors d'oeuvres here. There are lots of chairs, so people just kind of pull up and sit around the table here in the front of the room, and a lot of people can fit on the sofa, surprisingly. But then we bring in extra chairs. The idea is to create a circle, kind of a hosting in the round. And even though the chairs are different sizes and shapes, people manage to fit in and feel very cozy. I even have a tiny child's chair that I include, and I'm usually the one sitting on it because people's like, oh, I can't sit on that. I'll show that to you. It's right over here by the piano. See, that's a little child's chair. And I fit on it, yes, even though I'm 6'3". So, but you know, how great it is to have live piano music playing, whether it's Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve. Just, you know, the sound wafting through the house of some music playing, it's just, nothing beats that. For me, the specialness of holidays is they give us a chance to forget the rat race for a moment, to catch our breath from the daily grind. And decorating the home helps to heighten that experience. It identifies that something special is going on. Of course, at Christmas, the Christmas tree itself is a centerpiece of gathering for your family and friends. I love traditions at Christmas. I love the Christmas foods, the Christmas music, making a bûche de Noël, for instance. My mom was born in France, so we always have a Yule log. It's a chocolate cake with cream and icing, the bûche de Noël, so I always bake one of those. My dad was born in Poland, so we follow the Christmas traditions from a Polish origin, which is on Christmas Eve. you have an all-fish meal. So, you know, seafood and fish, different kinds of fish and seafood. That's also true in Italian families, having the all-fish menu for Christmas Eve. I love going singing in the choirs and in our community gatherings in Cold Spring. Usually the first Saturday of Christmas, all the stores are open late and we go choiring and caroling all through the village, making a special meal for your friends, or wrapping a gift, or filling out a Christmas card by hand. All these things that bring your handwork and your craftsmanship to it. It's a direct connection to your heart. And I think people feel that heart energy when they receive that wonderful meal, that bountifulness at your table, or that hand-wrapped gift, or even something handmade that you've created for someone. I think that, you know, anything can be store-bought, but if you make things by hand, that's that little magic ingredient that I think says, yeah, I love you, I care about you. I am an avid gardener. It's really my happy place being outside and in this rose garden. Most of the roses are finished because it's getting closer and closer to Christmas. But as you come through here, you'll see there are still some colors, occasional roses here and there, the fountain, the view back at the house. Perhaps my favorite event is in the springtime when all the roses are in full bloom. And I invite a harpist to come in and play music, and I have a little tea party in the garden. Tea and punch and champagne, and people just stroll through the garden and smell the roses. A lot of them are old world heirloom roses from France, David Austin roses as well. Some of the roses date back to the 1890s and early 1900s. Very, very precious varietals. I think this is a place also to relax. And I think in contrast, we all have such busy lives. So how good it is to be able to create a place that you can just relax and reconnect with nature. And maybe read, you know, some Emily Dickinson, some poetry, or what have you, or just invite your friends over for a little afternoon lunch here in the rose garden. It's going to be all ready for Christmas. Yes, little house in the countryside in Garrison, New York, and it's got a little bit of France, a little bit of England, and a whole lot of Santa, especially inside. You can see the lavender that I grow here as well. I'm known for growing lavender. They used to call me Johnny Lavender Seed because everywhere I go, I give people gifts of lavender plants and teach them how to grow lavender. I used to be a lavender farmer during my non-compete time. The 10 years I made beautiful organic lotions and oils and things like that. So I still love lavender and I still have it around the house. So here we are at the front of the house. This is a century-old house. It was literally built 100 years ago in 1924 and actually finished in 1925. It's solid stone, so the chunks of stone are actually blocks piled on top of each other. It's not just a stone facade, which is how many newer homes are built. It's got a solid slate roof. It was recently reconditioned, so it's going to last another 100 years. And it's very much in the style of the French Norman chateaus. If you have a chance to visit France, you'll see a lot of homes in this style. You know, when I first saw this house, it was love at first sight. I think the high ceilings, the beautiful turret in the center of the house, it feels like a little castle, and I think it's just perfect for the Ornament King. So we all need a welcome wreath, and so that's what this oak door has. A wonderful wreath that I designed picking up the colors of the stone. So I chose the dove gray, or some of the pale lavender flowers, and some of the silver and the eucalyptus colors, all very soft, muted colors that blend with the environment. I guess you could say I'm a Christmas expert after being in the ornament world for almost 40 years. Christmas means so much to me, especially the spirit of Christmas. It's something I choose to keep alive in my heart all year long. It's not just a business at all to me. Yes, I make beautiful Christmas ornaments. I'm thrilled that they're still being made in Europe for me, but it goes beyond that. It's about the love, the friendship, the connectivity that Christmas offers us. And that shouldn't just be for one day a year. So even though it might be Easter or 4th of July or Mother's Day or any other season of the year, I like to keep Christmas spirit alive in my heart all year long. And that's about keeping an open heart and being kind to people and considerate and helping others, because we're all in this together after all. And so to me, that's living the Christmas spirit all year long. And then I keep Christmas alive all year long just by sharing those feelings and not stopping on December 26th. Home. I think we're all looking for home. For me, that is a place that I create. It's like a nest, a cozy little calm in the eye of the storm. As you can imagine, I travel a lot for work, for my profession, and having a chance, and there's so much changing, day by day, whatever the headlines are in the papers or on TV. The world is changing faster than I ever thought would happen. But when I get to come home to everything that's familiar to me, and smell the smells of my own garden, and come back to my own bedroom closet, and find my sweaters or what have you, and then inviting people to my home, high school friends and college friends, that's magical. That becomes an anchor, if you will, in an ever-changing world. My home is my oasis, my sanctuary from life. And so it's a place I can work on my memoir. It's a place that I can maybe create new designs for next year. It's a place I can share with friends and loved ones. So to me, home is all those things. It's sanctuary. It's that center in the eye of a storm for me. So I love being at home, and I hope to be at home more often next year and not to travel quite as much as I have this year. But when you have a new company, a fledgling company such as my new company, the Ornament King, I have to be out and making the rain dance, if you will. So, but home it's solace. It's my heart. Heart is where my home is. And Homeworthy folks, it's been so great having you be part of my holiday traditions. So until next year, have a great holiday and a Merry Christmas.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.